Balega, 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 Welcome to a very special session in our OCTV studios. I'm Terry Stiles, and with me is Oxford resident Mike Dare. And you're not an Oxford resident, but this is Dustin McClellan,
That's right?
And Dustin McClellan is the partnership coordinator for Key of Hope. And I want to say this is a giving time of year for humanitarian missions and services, but you do this all year long with Key of Hope, right?
Absolutely.
So there's so much I want to talk to you about. I want to get to the choir, but first I want to talk about Key of Hope and how they started and where they are, how they exist. So let's start at the beginning. Key of Hope started with Rachel and Dan.
That's correct.
Right? And their last names are Smithers.
Smither, that's
and
right.
And they're from the Pontiac area.
That's correct.
Initially. So take it from there.
Absolutely, yeah. Dan and Rachel, wonderful couple here from the North Oakland County area. We're leading local organizations here in Pontiac, and felt a call to move their family to Durban, South Africa, which is really the epicenter of the AIDS epidemic. It is the leading place. It's the murder capital of the world, top 3 in rape and poverty and so many other issues. And so, young family here.
Right, they have several children.
Had 4 daughters, and at the time they were preparing ages 7, 5, 3, and 6 months.
Oh my goodness sakes.
And so they sold their home in Pontiac in January of 2007. Took a year to really develop this organization and to get the word out and raise the funds, and dropped out into Durban, South Africa, hoping to make a difference.
Logistically, that's a nightmare, and just for the paperwork alone. So I have a friend who came here from Johannesburg, and it took her a year and a half just for herself and her daughter. The mission, Key of Hope, is that through their church here, or this is all them?
This is all them. It's a separate 501c3 here in the States, and also a nonprofit organization in Durban, South Africa proper. And it's an international nonprofit that is dedicated to reaching children that are affected by poverty and AIDS, and reaching them with faith and hope in God, and through long-term mentoring relationships, and that's the cornerstone of who they are and what they do.
We're here to reach a generation of children being left behind by AIDS with the hope and the light found in the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's been you, our supporters, who have helped make possible what we've been able to do, growing from one young girl in one shack unable to attend school to now over 1,000, almost 2,000 children that we're reaching every single week with over 30 sports teams, our children's choir, after school.
So when I was reading through your key there, you said long-term relationships.
Yes.
And I was reading through everything on the website, which I highly recommend everybody, and I will put the website on the bottom of our picture here. I highly recommend everybody read it. It was so interesting. So they dropped themselves in the middle of Durban,
Yes.
which in my mind I thought Durban was very remote. It's not.
No, it really is. It's a metropolis. It's a city, and there's an area that is fully developed, and there's buildings as we would know a Detroit or a New York or a Los Angeles.
Amazing.
Then there's an area where children are living in the most jaw-dropping poverty you could ever imagine. And the long-term mentoring relationships, that piece of what Key of Hope does is so important, because a lot of these children, they're orphans. Perhaps their parents may have passed away. They are raising themselves. Older sibling is raising them. A grandmother is taking them in. And so Key of Hope, Dan and Rachel, their family, now their staff of over 25 people there, many of them products of the programs they lead, they become family to these kids. And they're there at every step of their lives and situation.
So is there a facility that they have? And Mike was explaining they bring taxis of children in, right, to the facility?
Absolutely.
And so do they have to get permission from the families on a daily basis, or how does that work?
So Key of Hope, I mean, they have wonderful relationships with the families that they work with. In fact, they visit all of the children in the programs, over 2,000 on a weekly basis. And so they've divided up the areas they work in into sectors. And so there's a leader over each sector that builds the relationships with the children and families, and so they're able to build those relationships to be able to bring the children in. And so yes, they transport the kids for every program. Every program is fee or maybe a very minimal cost, and they make this happen for those children and families.
And then these children, are they mainstreamed into a mainstream school, or do they provide schooling for these kids as well?
Yeah, so there's really 4 different sectors of what Key of Hope does. They call it heart, soul, mind, and spirit.
I like that.
And so really heart is looking at the emotional state of a child, and that's where the mentoring relationships come in. Soul is that spiritual side, making sure that they are becoming the right type of people and citizens.
Sure.
Mind is that academic side, and so in Durban, children have to pay to attend school, and so in the public school system there, they work to raise and secure the dollars to send a child to school, and sometimes it's as inexpensive as $150. Sometimes it's more if they're able to get them into a nicer school, a nicer situation. They do that. And then strength, which is the last bucket of just meeting the tangible needs, the feeding, clothing, sometimes even shelter, working on a shack that's there if they need help there, and making a difference in their lives.
So they go into the community, to each community, and also uplift, in a way, the entire community,
Absolutely.
not just the children.
And when you walk in, and Mike was there earlier this year for 6 weeks,
asking me about that.
and you walk in with Dan or one of the team members, it's amazing to watch the people that come and see them, meet them. The kids follow
The
them all
joy.
throughout the community. It's like an event every single week when they head into those areas, and they're making a difference, not just in the kids, but in the parents that are there, in the leaders, and they've done the deep root work it takes to build trust, to come from America, to come from privilege, and to go into an area like that. Over now 11 years, have taken the time to build those long-term relationships with the kids and with the leaders.
Oh, I can't wait till we get an opportunity to talk to them about that journey.
Absolutely.
How old, how young, how old is too old, how young is too young, or is there age limits for those
Well,
children?
really, in some situations, starts as early as birth, helping with feeding and medication.
Okay.
But really, the programming starts at really preschool with, they call it a creche. Creches that are all around there, and the young children that come in to have a preschool situation, early childhood as we would know it. And then programs up until just after high school, although now they've grown a large youth program that meets on Friday nights, and they provide mentoring and life skills and job training for students there, even to where now there's a staff of kids that were in the program, in the choir, mentored, that are now program coordinators and program leaders and arranging transportation, and it's just really remarkable.
So not only are they helping the kids, they're really helping that entire community that they're in.
Absolutely.
Because they know now how to support and uplift one another and teach. That's going to carry on paying it forward,
That's
so to
correct.
speak.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the core program.
Yeah.
How does that work? if you had a schedule in front of you.
Sure.
What would you do if you had a new child?
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to ask you about your experience over there. But I want to find out the structure of
Yeah, absolutely.
how do they organize all that?
Yeah, oftentimes it'll start with either a home visit or a child that comes in on the weekend program, and I'll end there. But a Tuesday night would encompass their sports program. So there's netball and soccer
nice,
and pretty intensive intramural system that they've created that, yes, is sports, but again, also another opportunity for mentoring and
Yes.
relationships. And the leaders of all those sports teams have come through the program, and they've developed that. And so then there's also tutoring programs throughout the week on the weeknights. And toward the end of the week is when the home visits come, which is what I know the children look forward to, the team looks forward to. And honestly, in a lot of ways, the other programs are really, in some ways, even an excuse to be in that home, in that shack on a weekly basis.
So it's like having family come over.
It's like having family come
So
over.
they're looking forward to the family dinner.
Absolutely. And then they can see the needs and see,
Sure.
you know, what's really happening there. And then Saturday is the big day. And upwards of 1,000 kids are taxied in or bussed in,
Wow.
all from throughout the area for a large kids program. And there's games and songs and prizes, always an encouraging lesson. And feeding, of course, for those kids. And it's really, really awesome.
What a lesson in
experience.
organization,
Absolutely,
eh?
absolutely. Yeah, and of course, there's lots of other things that are going on. Of course, helping with school fees, helping with documents that children need, helping with medical issues. Of course, the choir, which I know we're going to talk about in a moment, that whole program, lots of things happening.
So fundraising to finance all this,
Yes.
how does that happen?
Yeah.
Is that through the choir tour, or how is that happening?
Choir tour is one component of that, but honestly, it's people in Durban. There are some people that support the work there, and some organizations
Sure.
that grant as
Helps
well.
their own community.
Absolutely, but a large amount of the funding comes here from the States. A large amount from southeastern Michigan as well, because this is really home base.
Oh, sure, right.
And it's people, individuals, churches, businesses that say, we want to make a difference. And we may not be able to go to Africa, but we can go through our dollars and
that's lovely.
our tangible gifts of other items, and we can make a difference that way. And I know that I know some of the viewers that are watching today have been a part, and so grateful for those that are on board, and maybe those that will through this show today.
I'm so grateful because I've heard of Key of Hope, and I've certainly heard of the children's
Yes,
choir.
absolutely.
And not really, I didn't quite know how locally I could help until Mike called. And in all honesty, Mike and I know each other. We have for many years. And I do know that you've been to Africa before. This was not, and then on Facebook I saw last summer or maybe in the fall,
Right.
you and Peg, your wife, were in Durban. And so what made you go there? How did you get involved?
Yeah, good friends of ours are friends, actually relatives of Dan and Rachel. So maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, I got introduced while they were here. And my sons and I, my wife, have traveled to Africa. I remember a story, my father, we had a little television, and the screen was about this big around. And I would sit in front of that and watch these documentaries.
Oh, yeah.
And he would say, "What are you watching there?" I said, "Oh, it's Africa. Look, there's elephants walking across, and wheat, blowing in the breeze." I said, "I'm gonna go there someday." I was probably 6 or 7 years old. Back then,
It was
they
fascinating.
didn't
Sure.
have the travel that we have today. So, yeah, sure, you're our son. Have a nice afternoon. But
Go out and play ball.
it came
Yeah.
to end. So we've traveled there. I think this was our 8th trip, and I've been able to witness You know, you can see things on the computer, you can see things on YouTube, all that, but you can't really, you don't really know the difference between have and have not until you get boots on the ground, you know, so that was kind of and we just have a passion now, so it was great that Dan and Rachel had us come over on a 6-week working mission, so I got to know the staff and organization, how they work, and just, it's the best missionary group on the planet, I'm sure.
What did you do to help those children? How did you, what was your impact on them?
You know, it's funny because a lot of the children, their parents die earlier than we do, with all the disease and, you know, and malnutrition, all the things that could be.
Right.
And so the vast majority, I think, do not have mothers and fathers. They live with grannies and things like that. So when they meet a guy that looks like me, they say, "Do you mind if I asked you how old you are?" I say, "Oh, I'm 68." And they think, "Oh, you know, this guy,
Wow,
that's
you're
the oldest
ancient.
guy I ever met in my life," right?
Yeah, sure, right.
So they would ask me for wisdom. Wisdom. Not many people in my life have asked me for wisdom,
Made you
but
feel
I would
pretty
give it.
special, didn't it?
Absolutely. You know, and the only thing that I could give them is that every one of them has a gift from God, and Dan and Rachel can help you find that. It may be in your voice, it may be in your technical ability, it may be, but they'll find it. And if it's in there, they'll find it. But once they find it, then you have to be like me, and you have to go to work. And you got to work hard. And you want a family, you want to work hard, take care of your family. So what little wisdom that is, I think that it's what they were asking me for.
Well, and I also think that they would not be as enthusiastic about being involved in this program if they were not looking to soak that information up like a sponge, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, and I'd like to go back through your Facebook page. I saw pictures of you and Peg with those children, and there was so much joy in those pictures.
You wouldn't believe
From
it.
you as well as those
Both
children,
sides. Oh,
right?
Oh,
right.
absolutely. You get out to these home visits and you meet these children, and when that Key of Hope vehicle drives in with the logo on the side, you're famous. I mean, like you said, the kids come running, and they have so many programs. They have, and they're on these hills that overlook, you know, like the sewage
Durban
treatment
there.
plant and
Oh,
stuff, but, you know, the thing that Dan's devised a soapbox derby they have, see? So,
fun.
so they have a day, and thousands
And
of
so they
people out there.
create their own little cars.
They create their own little car.
How
Yeah, he
fun.
got in a little trouble from the trash company because they were missing the wheels on those little
Little
garbage
carts.
cans. Yeah,
How funny.
and so, in probably affluent areas. But anyway, so he said, yeah,
They can
we
afford
kind of
that.
had to find wheels for them, so they did. But, you know, it's just so many things that they do, and the kids realize it, and they see their other little kid buddies get into. Dan or Rachel will start them on and as helpers if they have, you know, the right attitude and the
skill
right,
and the-
you know, and right fortitude to work hard. So the other kids see that, and then that's what they
And they
aspire
gain
to
that.
be. And you know, I told him one day, I said, Dan, you know, this is basically, you're running a business here. And he said, yeah, kind of in a way, but you have your own farm system. I mean, I would love to have these kids work in my organization because
And
they
then they're
see.
feeding another.
Yeah, oh, and you see them, and you know, they have no mother, they have no father. When you see a 4-year-old taking care of a 2-year-old.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I mean, and it's not just once. It's not just, it's all over the place. And
And what is taking, it's disease that's taking the parents out, or what's happening?
I mean, there's disease, there's poverty, there's crime, you know, even while on
And they're
this-
so vulnerable to
so
all of
vulnerable,
that.
so vulnerable. Even while on the choir tour that the choir's on right now, we got word that one of the parents had been hurt as a victim of crime, and so
Oh, my goodness.
you know it's every day for them. It's not isolated incidents. It's every day, you know, trying to see, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it?
Wow.
But you know, you hit on something, Mike. You know, you said that.
I did?
You did. I mean, you made one. I said, you know, these kids are the happiest,
Oh, gosh.
most joyful, singing, celebrating,
You can see that in their faces.
and it really is a miracle that they have that much joy in the midst of everything they're going through.
Yeah, yeah.
And for us guys to just be a small part of that is, I know for me, it's incredible.
It's certainly, it's almost like you wear it on your sleeve. You have their joy in your face. It changed your life being
Yes.
involved with them as
Absolutely.
well, right?
Absolutely.
I know that, yeah, I'm sure
Well,
you
the-
made an impact on them. How did it change your life?
You know, just like Dustin was saying there, you know, when I got back home, just as simple as going to the refrigerator. Refrigerator, and I think these kids, you know.
They can't pull out a
Well,
gallon
here,
of milk for...
No,
right.
here.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking to the audience.
Yeah.
Who has or has ever had a refrigerator in their house? Raise their hand, you know?
Yeah, right.
Who's had an automobile? Who's had a furnace? Who's had it? I mean, down to the simplest of
Shoes.
things. Shoes. Yeah. These kids, but if you never had a pair of shoes and you never had a microwave oven, you probably don't know that you need one, right?
that's true,
So that's the only thing I can come up with in my mind, that they're just smiling and they're just the happiest
They don't know
children.
what they don't have.
They don't know what they don't have.
And sometimes don't we envy that?
Well, I
know?
hope that our children are the generation of children that are coming up. I hope that they can see things like this, and they can see people like Dan and Rachel helping people. They don't have no social, they don't have any social programs, nothing to help them out with, you know. We helped
Right.
we helped the young girl go to university, and for 1 year, Peggy, my wife and I. And she did so well. She couldn't go because she's had a baby, and her sisters would take care of the baby. She just couldn't fund it. So we helped her out, Rachel, to do this for 1 year, but just like I told my children in college. You will get good grades. I will get reports, blah, blah, blah. Okay. She did so well that she got one of the only very, very few scholarships for the following year.
Goodness.
So,
Well,
you know,
different
you put the
motivation.
challenge on these kids
Yeah,
Right.
uh-huh. Well,
and see what they can do.
I'm sure they realize how lucky they are to have that opportunity, and that's a motivator. A lot of kids that don't have to work for or struggle for going to school.
Right.
How many times have you ever heard, oh, that poor kid dropped out because he just, wasn't into it, he wasn't doing well, and he wasn't. But kids that have to pay for their own way will do well.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. It's just an example, but it's a good,
It's a great
good one.
example of
Because she
how you
said
can
to
change
me,
one person's life with
Right.
that small deed. And it's not really small, I know what college tuition is,
Sure.
but in
yeah,
your
and it's
life, in
it's
the
similar
scope of your
to
life.
here. I thought it would be, but no, it's similar to here.
Yeah, yeah.
But Nawasi told me, who was the little girl, that she said, well, I hope that, and Peggy and I got to meet her when we went over. And she had already gotten a scholarship and back in school and gets great grades. Well, she's now going to be their bookkeeper, one of their
Wow.
one of their top
that's
bookkeepers.
fantastic.
So, and when you come from an area that, I think that, memory serves me, I think no more than $10 a month most of these families live on. Now, she'll have a good job, but, you know what she told me? She said, I just hope that because I was able to get this, and I worked so hard, and I was able to get this scholarship, that now instead of helping me next year, you won't have to. But maybe you could help one of the other children.
Goodness.
That's what we want.
Excuse me?
Well done,
Any
absolutely.
Kleenexes around this place?
Here, do this.
Okay.
Oh, no. So I want to hear about these children.
Yes.
They have leadership program, right? And is that how they move on to different areas of interest, or? So now we've got, and I heard about them last year and I wanted to see them. We have 25 children here
Right now,
now?
in the United States,
of those children.
there's 25 children. So there's an entire music program
fabulous.
that they have developed, and Rachel is just a tremendous in music and developing these children. And so they have a 50-voice choir that started in Durban, and out of that choir selected 25 children. This is their 4th tour to the United States. And so they started this choir tour in Washington, D.C., and went on to Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, Indiana, Ohio, and finally Michigan, home to Michigan, as we say it.
Sure.
And just remarkable what these children have been able to do. They released their first full album this year.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic.
Available on all mainstream sources, iTunes,
seller.
and Spotify. Hit the top 10 list upon release. Just incredible what they've been able to do. And of course, as they're singing, they're promoting the work and sharing about the work, but also
Sure,
sharing
right.
their gift of music and song with the
And
world.
the gift that they found.
Absolutely.
Through this program.
That's right.
And so when they're here, are they staying in a host family, or how?
Well, actually,
how are
while
we-
they're in Michigan, we've just been so grateful. Our partners at Echo Grove Camp have now for many years been partnered with us to assist with housing the group as they come. And they'll be performing in churches and venues all across the Oakland County, southeastern Michigan area.
And so Christmas Eve, I know that they're playing locally, sort of locally. They'll be at Riverside in
At,
Goodrich,
River
right?
Church,
River
uh-huh.
Church. And then the 29th of December, they will be here in Oxford at Lake Point Church.
That's correct.
Correct? Do people have to call ahead and make reservations? to
Not for
be
any of those
so far?
venues. Those two, they can just show up and attend and be a part of it. All of the information's on our website, keyofhope.org. They can go there, find the addresses and the times for those locations, and would be delighted to see folks come out and support and see it in person.
Yeah, we're going to see them. I'll be there. So we started out with, this is definitely the season of giving, but the humanitarian season never stops. And please thank everybody over there for us for doing that work and improving the lives of those children that will then go out into the rest of the world and improve people's lives. And it's very humbling to know that that work is being done.
Yes.
And tell them welcome to Michigan.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see them. Thank you so much for doing this and coming here to the studios.
Thank you for
and
having
talking
us
with
and taking this time to encourage all of us to give back.
Yes, right. I'm taking advantage of the season because everybody certainly is a little more giving during this holiday season, but also this community is really good about taking projects on as their own. So I'm really grateful that you came. You traveled here from Pontiac today.
Yes.
I'm grateful that you did that so you could help get the word out to our community. And Mike, you and Peg,
Yeah,
what can I say?
so good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, and thank you for being involved in this, and thank you for letting me know that this is going on. I really
Oh, thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having us. This is wonderful.
And hi, Peg. I wish she was here today, but thank you for joining us today, and write that information down, and please go to that website. It's just so uplifting